there's so many consequences that are involved with being with multiple people, you know. I mean, just to name a few, like there's diseases out there, okay? there's there's a lot of those. And then there's also, if you're wanting to build a family with someone and you do it prematurely, for example, you have to deal with child support. You got to deal with parenting, being on the same page about stuff, and that baby or that child is going to grow up very, very confused, you know, about what love is, what love looks like. And I think, hello, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Bliss Talk. I'm excited because yesterday I had such a wonderful conversation with Miss Momo Love. And I know conversations like that you can't really duplicate them. But I'm excited about today because this young lady named Brianna, I went on her page today, and I feel like we can talk a lot about emotions. Emotions is something that we try to stay clear of, especially in this generation now. Hey, Miss Momo, I was just talking about you, talking about our conversation yesterday. But I feel like we steer clear of that topic as to not sound crazy, as to not sound vulnerable. But today we are going to talk about that stigma, especially with women. We can't help our nature. Powerful. Emotions have a lot to do with our mental health as well. Hey, hi, how you doing? Good. Brianna, how are you?
I'm good. You doing all right?
I'm doing great. I was just talking about how I feel like we're going to have a brilliant conversation today about our emotions, if you're down with that, because I did my research on your page and I love how you are putting, you know, that emotional aspect in the forefront, because we're women, you know, that is one of our superpowers, you know, to be compassionate and to be empathetic. And so I like to introduce myself. I go by Carmen Bliss, a singer, songwriter, organizer, and I love building, learning, aspiring, collaborating, and sharing keys with people who are grinding, who are going steady in their purpose. And I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I like to have fun. Are you ready?
Yes.
You are. Today, you see, like, when I hit you up, you're like, I don't know what to expect. I've been like bugging about this today, but no, I can feel that you're going to do amazing. So let's get started. Let's explore emotional abuse together. And when is it okay for us to express our feelings, and why do we feel like we need to suppress them? Like I was saying earlier, emotions is something that, for whatever reason, is taboo. You're not allowed to talk about them, you know? So can we explore that together? Give me your perspective about that.
When it's safe to express them, I feel like I'm still learning that. That we kind of carry things from our childhood into adulthood. We can't hold that ourselves responsible to that forever, but the reality is a lot of what we learn about our emotions and what we think about ourselves is from our childhood. And I think especially in the Black community, like, we just have this, like, we're not supposed to talk about things, period. Like, so it's like, I don't know, for me personally, I feel like my mom is like, I mean, she was there for me, but there was still that emotional distance. We didn't talk about the things she was feeling. Like, anytime I did see her, like, kind of break down, she kept that to herself, because I felt like she needed to be strong to do that. And I think I even see that in myself, because anytime I'm feeling some type of emotion, I sort of, like, punish myself for it. Like, I'm not supposed to be feeling, nobody's supposed to see me like this. So it's like I withdraw to kind of get myself together, and I'm not even realizing I'm doing things that I've just seen since I was young. So That's why I said I feel like it's still a struggle.
You make a great point with it being generational, because, our parents and our ancestors, they had to be so strong, keep it together. There were probably a lot more stuff going on than, you having an emotional breakdown. Stuff was real. Stuff was real, And so we didn't have time to address emotions, but that is one of our human characteristics, is emotion.
I'm sorry, my kids are being kind of loud, so I'm about to tell
them. Okay. Hey, babies, how you doing?
Can you tell me to be quiet down?
And I'm sure, being a mother, having to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You're in charge, or you're having to deal with your children's emotions too, all the time.
Like trying to manage yours, because it's like I still have trying to heal from emotionally, and then it's like also trying to teach them to manage their own emotions, because I don't want to break them in the process, because I'm still healing in ways. So it's like I don't feel like I necessarily manage my emotions well all the time. And they see all of that, and they're just sponges at this age. So it's like everything I do, like it's just like what I was saying with what I picked up from my mom. Like they're gonna pick up my habits. So I'm still gonna be myself, but I'm trying to teach them better ways to manage as I'm better managing myself. And the only way I can do that is like learning myself and learning my triggers and learning the root of everything, so I can catch those patterns and kind of try to prevent it with them. But
yeah,
it's hard, but
that was the word I was looking for, manage. You ended up saying it, but that is so true. So my next question for you is, who do you think has influenced you the most on your journey?
That's a good question. I think it's still my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's like I've seen her like go through so much, as far as me just being raised with her, and then also just knowing everything she went through in her childhood. I think me and her used to clash a lot when I was a teenager, and like we kind of just fell out and stopped speaking, period. And I didn't really start understanding her until I had children of my own. And then she doesn't have a relationship with her mother, and I realized she just did the best she knows how. She didn't have that foundation, and even though there was a lot of like friction, she still did the best that she could, and she's still like one of the strongest women I know. So I admire her in many ways, like mentally, physically, everything. Like she did the best of what she had, and that's all I'm really trying to do.
That's very true. I have to think of the same thing. When I think about my mom, it's just, she's had her own experiences. This is why she is the way she is. And, moving forward, she's still having new experiences. Just because she's older doesn't mean that she's stopped having those new experiences. So we have to be gentle and see it from their perspective as well as they're on their journey. At any age, you might go through something you've never been through before. We were talking about this yesterday. They're going through, like our elders, they're going through menopause, and we have no idea what that even feels like just yet.
I think it's different too, like losing their parents, and like and it's like I feel like she's like that word you said, gentle. She stayed gentle through all years and years of hard lessons. So it's like be able to stay that gentle and loving is a beautiful thing.
Yes. So your mom is an influencer. Who influences you as far as your poetry? Because you wrote a book called Faces of Blooming, and you're also a poet. And I got the privilege to kind of take a look at some of your poetry, and I loved it. I loved your flow. I wanted to know, like, how, because if I record something, it takes me multiple takes, and then I end up just not putting it up there.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
yeah, that's what my behind the scenes looks like. But you put it up there, and so let me double back to the actual question I want to ask you. Who do you think influence you the most as far as your art and your craft?
One particular person, or I mean, it's hard when it comes to artists, because I mean, I feel like my inspiration pulls from like multiple artists. Like, it's not just one set. I have my favorite, yes, like Sonia Sanchez, Maya Angelou, redundant, yes, Tupac. Yeah. A lot of hip hop artists, like a lot of my favorite hip hop artists. I mean, hip hop is poetry to me, period. But a lot of my favorite hip hop artists and my favorite albums have poetry intertwined with it as well. And then like a lot of the authors, because I love reading too, so a lot of the books that I was reading when I was younger, it's like I go back to them now and I realize it had poetry in it as well. So even this author book, like author novelist, I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
Novel.
Books that I read when I was younger, even writers just inspired me. And now it's like I know poets in my community are like just artists like who are about their art and moving and touching the people, and that inspires me as well. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I can agree with that too. A lot of the artists in my community inspire me. Like, I've been so immersed in local and community art. Sometimes when you ask me about somebody that's in mainstream, I'm like, who is that? I don't know. But ask me about somebody in Greensboro. Oh, I know. I got you. I know who that is. But that's so true. So Maya Angelou, I can see that, because in your poem, the one that I liked very much, I'm not sure what the title of it is, but you quoted her quite a bit. And I was like, oh, yes. Bring her back in your poetry. And I think that's something cool, like us as artists can do, like bring back the ancestors through our poetry, put a little bar in there. And if you don't know who Maya is, go look her up. You know what I mean? Keep them alive through our art. I love how you did that. Let's see. Can we address our concerns with free love and the generation to date? So when I talk about free love, I actually wrote this question down without really knowing how to pinpoint or say exactly what I meant by that. But there is a lot of people not falling in love like they used to. Relationships, like, finding the one, that romance that was in our songs back in the day. I don't feel like it's relevant in the generations that we're seeing right now. Would you agree with that, or do you see something else from your perspective?
I don't know. I mean, I think that love still exists, obviously. I think harder to find someone who actually is willing to fight for it, I guess. I think people are so it's either they're so hurt and afraid to be loved that they walk away from everything, or just the fact that we don't really know how to love. So we don't know what we have either. So it's like, I don't know. This is a heavy
I'm asking you this because I'm listening to your poetry and I'm like, yo, I need her perspective on this, because you talked in one of your poems, about, I think it was something about child support or something like that. And you always coming, but you're not coming. I can't really quote your words, but that, it resonated with me about my concerns about, the recreational sex and free love and all this, that, and the third. I'm just like, where's the love? Where is the love at?
Yeah, so, it's like very, I think it's just more detached. Like, people be so connected. It's crazy, like, how much we use social media. And we have all these different things to feel connected, but we're still disconnected. This post, I don't know who wrote it, but it was, it said basically, we're not longing for the attention, we're longing for the connection. And I think that's the same thing within our relationships. Like, we may be fighting for, like, oh, I want you to see me, I want to do this, I want to do that. And this, that, and the third, and it comes off as being clingy or wanting attention or wanting this, that, and the third, and really you just want to feel connected to that person. And I mean, nobody wants to be alone. Everybody,
yeah.
I mean, we have times where we want to be alone, but we don't want to be alone forever. And I think it's natural for us to desire companionship. It's just in loving, it takes risk. So you have to.
It does. It's very risky business.
Yeah.
This love thing, you know, and like you were saying, generational, because if you grow up, and as we are seeing more and more people getting divorced, or a lot of people, like your own experiences where you feel like you've wasted your time, your energy in something, it's just hard to align yourself with the notion that, you know, that there is a true love out there. Your Superman is out there, honey. He's just waiting for you to find him. So I wanted to address that with you, just to see if we can start a conversation about that, because I think that, you know, we need to start thinking about that one love. You know, there are so many, I want to say, consequences, or there's so many consequences that are involved with being with multiple people, you know. I mean, just to name a few, like there's diseases out there, okay? there's a lot of those. And then there's also, if you're wanting to build a family with someone and you do it prematurely, for example, you have to deal with child support, you got to deal with parenting, being on the same page about stuff, and that baby or that child is going to grow up very, very confused, you know, about what love is, what love looks like. And I think that it's important to talk about that, you know, like to at least address it in our community.
I think a lot of times we have, like for me personally, I got into a relationship really young, got married, engaged, had kids before I really even figured myself out. And before that person even figured herself out. And then we're young, we're with kids, our parents or our family kind of alienated because we had kids so young, and we're just trying to figure things out. And it's like things just started turning even more and more because it's just so much pressure. We don't know what we're doing, you know, like it's so much. This word is so overused this year, but I'm just going to say toxic because I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Use it. It's not a healthy and nurturing environment. So then when you do separate and then you have this broken family, then it's trying to deal with the aftermath of all that. And like I said, it's like, okay, you're trying to manage and heal in front of your kids instead of creating an environment that is healthy and that is nurturing and then bringing our children into it. And I think that's a lot of the problem of like just repeated cycles, because we do all that and then we have kids of our own. Once they get of that age, they're curious and they end up having kids, and then we push them away and then they're pushed right back into that same cycle. So I think there has to be like a line drawn where we're like, okay, even if it happens, we have to be more understanding and receptive, and there's a way we can fix it, you know, and it's like fix it without putting so much pressure and control on it, but more love and nurturing, if that makes sense. Because the pressure and the control is what's just building more of that disconnect. So
and I don't think there's anything wrong with dating. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing the field, things of that nature. I just want us to be mindful, you know, because of the children. The children suffer the most in these situations. Always seeing mommy and daddy fight, or, you know, mommy's unhappy and I really want her to be happy, but I don't think that I have what she needs to be happy. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that enters a child's psyche. And I would love for our community to really talk about this subject a little bit more. And thank you for your poetry, because it inspired me to talk to you about this today.
Thanks for listening.
All right. Next question. Tell me about the time where you felt the most beautiful? And I want you to be honest. I want you to give me like, most diva answer. I want you to lay it out for me like, girl, I had this, that, and the third. And I felt gorgeous, honey.
This should be an easy question.
Okay. I saw your pictures now. You was looking. You had it right together in some of the pictures, honey. Okay.
I did like a photo shoot for my book release, and then I had my sister do the photos because she's a photographer, and I don't know. I just spent a day kind of like. At first, I was nervous. I know you see the pictures on Instagram, but it's because I'm taking pictures by myself with my phone, and nobody sees me taking them. So it's like I can get a good selfie because nobody's around. But as I put them outside, I start overthinking. But so I just spent that day because I know how I am. So I just spent that day kind of like pampering myself, mentally preparing myself, and then like just listening to like my favorite music. I did my makeup, and then I took the photos. I was outside in nature. And it was like one of my favorite places to be, like right by the water. So it felt peaceful. And I had like this, like, I don't know if you call it like an African dashiki type skirt.
I think I know exactly what picture you're talking about. Yeah.
And then I had my hair, like my natural hair out. And then, I just felt like myself. And I just felt good. Like the entire day felt good. And it felt like liberating in a sense. So I felt
I saw that photo and I was like, that is her. Like I could feel that you felt like the energy was just coming off of my phone. Like when I saw that picture, you looked absolutely amazing. That was such a good photo. But you're a beautiful person, period. But that's always it. I always like to give the opportunity or to ask somebody that question, because we don't get to get hype about ourselves all the time, not in public. But if somebody asks a question, then go for it. Well, since you're asking. I think that's
good. I think like it's like I'm so into like my kid, like my son. I've been having him like write 2 positive things about himself. Because it's like, I think we constantly look out for other people, but we barely do it for ourselves. And I'm telling my son to do this stuff, but I'm like, dang, when's the last time I told myself to do that?
Yeah.
It threw me off. I was like, wow, when is the time I felt most beautiful?
Yes. And you are beautiful. My very last question for you. I want to discuss our walls and the boundaries when it comes to relationships. So what I mean by that is, like we just talked a little bit in the beginning or middle of our conversation, we talked about how we are standoffish when it comes to even thinking about love or relationships, So I wanted us to talk about these walls and what it's going to take to break them down or have people on the same mindset in society, social-wise, about these walls when it comes to relationships.
Kind of like what we were saying earlier, like in love there's risk. So in breaking down walls, it requires risk and vulnerability. Like it's kind of putting yourself out there. I think I like to say, okay, I'm past this. I've gotten done with this, and then something happens and I'm feeling these same emotions again, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I got past this. Either retreat into myself to try to kind of like protect myself, or I just push people away and shut people out. And it's like, okay, I realize I'm doing that because I still have a wall up, I still have my guard up, and a part of me taking that wall down is just being honest about that moment and why I'm feeling or why I did what I did. So it's like, if I did something specific to someone, then I'm like, okay, I have to be accountable. I apologize. I say, hey, this is why I did what I did. If you understand it, you understand it. If you don't, you don't, because that moment is not necessarily for you, but it's for me just to say, okay, I'm dealing with this. I mean, I don't know how to deal with this some days, but it's still me acknowledging in that moment, at least, and being accountable for myself in that moment.
Right. I think I agree with that. If being honest and being transparent to where you can say that there is a wall. You notice there was a wall, there is exactly a wall, and then explaining as to why there is a wall. And here is what would have to happen if you want to see that wall come down, because I don't think there's anything wrong with protecting your emotional and in your mindset. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is some people take it for granted. So we are taken for granted a lot of the time, you know? And so I think that communication can go a long way if you're in that phase of getting to know someone, you know? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So before I let you go, I wanted to say that first of all, this Phases of Blooming book, I love the pictures that you took of it. And it's just like, I wanted to grab it right out of my phone and just like see what this is about. So I'm going to need that book. Let me know how I can get it, but also let everyone else, guard your energy. Yes, the foundation. Absolutely guard your energy. So before we wrap up, I want to thank you guys for joining Bliss Talk tonight, but let's ask Brianna some questions before we let her go. And Brianna, while they're trying to type in the questions that they have for you, will you please let them know your social media information, where they can grab your book, and all that good stuff?
My Instagram is Brianamazing 901. Or you can just type in the Alien Samurai, and that's me. I'm on Facebook as well. It's Bree Esoteric. I can write that in the comments. The book Phases of Blooming is available on Amazon. It's $18. Outside of that, that's how you find me, and that's where you can find my book.
Hey, congratulations on your book, by the way.
Thank you.
That's a huge milestone to have a published book on Amazon. You go, girl. We have a question by G. Danae. Dania, please don't be mad at me for saying that wrong. But they are asking, are you currently working on any projects?
I'm working on another book, but it's definitely not near done. I am really picky about my work. So I kind of I write pieces, and I kind of write a snapshot of what I'm trying to say. And I kind of just build off of that. Sometimes the pieces that I originally start with don't even end up making it to the book. So I'm learning as I grow, and each book I've wrote is like a journey within myself. So I give it the time that it needs. So I don't have a release date yet, but I am working.
Hey, that's what's up. Well, let's stay connected. I go by Carmen Bliss. For those who don't know me, you can follow me at cbliss_pics. This inspiring 30-minute conversation will be in my IGTV, and you can also check out my website. It's called blisstalkshow.life. Thank you so much, Brianna. You have an amazing week and weekend, and keep glowing and keep grinding, girl.
Thank you. You too.
We're proud of you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.